turbos we ran on this one right now, Summit Racing S75, and it's kind of cool. Got the adapter to go from the V band up to the T6. Got the giant mega-sized exhaust on there. But the cool thing is, I did this over here. Take a look. This, we ran all these turbos. Well, I didn't run the little tiny one because this is going to be, that's going to be for twins. And unfortunately, I could not run the giant mega-sized turbo there because of this. Take a look at that. That V-band flange we don't have. We've got what looks to me to be a 5 and a 4, and this looks like a 4.5. I'm not sure how they measure the V-bands to find out, but we have a couple of sizes. We don't have that one. That's the one I was most looking forward to testing. But what I did was, if we take a look at that, I ran this GT45 and we compared it to 5 different turbos. So we've got a T76 from CX Racing. We have a 62 millimeter from Precision. We have a 7875 from VS Racing. We have a 7582 from Force Performance. And we have this T6 S475 over here that I showed you previously from Summit Racing. What's up, everybody? See, look at that. Whoa! But what I wanted to do tonight is give you guys a sneak preview because I'm working on the editing for the video now, and that's probably going to post later tonight or maybe first thing in the morning. But I wanted to give you guys, the live guys, you know, the guys that show up and support me, I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek on what's going on. Go ahead and go into our dyno cell here. Get to look at some of the cool dyno stuff. I ran a lot of tests. This poor little 4.8, man, we really worked this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys up here, and you guys can take a look at some of the dyno stuff. We got a lot of cool data. Can you guys see all that pretty well? Yeah, you should be able to see that pretty good. So let's take a look. So this will give you an idea. I want to share with my live people, my peeps. So this is the GT45 turbo with that air-to-water intercooler run on our 4.8. It's got a mild camshaft in it and stock 706 heads, a stock truck manifold and stuff. So what we did was run these at a bunch of different boost levels. So we turn the boost up, turn the boost up, turn the boost up, and what I did was run all of those turbos out there at this same boost level because, as you can see here, I was able to control it with this electronic wastegate controller. We can go out there, I'll show you guys the wastegates. We've got lines plumbed both to the top and the bottom, and I'll show you that. Wah, wah. High-speed throw cam. So see, we've got our wastegates plumbed. So we're controlling them. We got our little motor here. That's what the TC1 controller is controlling, so it's kind of cool. It allows us to have a, you know, smooth, consistent boost curve. Sorry if my hand's getting in the way and hit the microphone and stuff. I'm very excited though. So the cool thing is, not only did we measure obviously all the power of all of these, and we had a booster, we also logged the stuff here on our Holly. I'll show you guys that. Keep my hand in the way so you can see some of the data logging there. The blue is the, or the purple down below here, down here. See that? That's the boost curve. Top is the map. So it's pretty easy to see that the curve is a lot more steady than we show on some of the stuff in the video, because for some reason the sensor is going bad in the dyno, so it just kind of wigs out every once in a while and drops boost by 3 or 4 or 5 pounds, and we know that that's not happening because we're not seeing any change in the power. The air fuel stays the same, the power stays the same, but the dyno is showing us a big drop in boost. That's obviously not happening. So it makes it hard sometimes to look at all of the data and kind of correlate it, you know, to the different stuff. But luckily we have the Holly hooked up and we can data log all that and know what it is. But in this thing, I've got we've got all of the power differences between the different turbos. We've got charge temperatures, we've got back pressure. So we've got a lot of cool stuff that will demonstrate the differences between turbos and why some of the things, and I talk about a little bit about some of the changes I'd like to make to some of the turbos. We talk about response rate on some of these, especially the T6 Summit Racing Turbo, which did very well, but it is a T6 where all of the others are T4s. So it's an interesting comparison. There's a big difference in, obviously, the price of the turbos. Yo, what's up, Gary? There's a big difference in the price of the turbos, and obviously there's a big difference in the performance of the turbos too, especially if you turn the turbos up, because as we know in the GT45 turbo, you're only going to be able to run about 800 horsepower, and then it starts running into back pressure problems, especially it's probably best used on a 4.8 liter. If you go to a 5.3 or a 6 liter, you start running into back pressure problems. And if you get extreme stuff like the 454 that I ran it on a motor that big, you're definitely going to get into back pressure problems on that GT45 turbo. So this is our combination here. And I'll tell you what, I want you guys to take a look at this down here. You see that down there? That basically is going to be, see these exhaust manifolds? Tomorrow, the exhaust is going to go all the way back here, and then using these U-bends I bought from Summit Racing, they will be like right here. The exhaust will come all the way back here, and then go all the way back up here into that, where I can mount this turbo, and then the turbo can kind of stay in the same spot, and I can have a remote mount turbo. Now, right now, you should be thinking, yeah, but Richard, you're going to remote mount the exhaust, but what about the discharge side? Because the discharge side is all the way back, has to come from the turbo all the way in the back. That's correct, and I'm going to do that also, but I wanted to test them one at a time. So I want to find, excuse me, I want to find out what the, big length of exhaust does to response. Then I wanted to find out what the big length of intake does to response. And then obviously what I'm going to do on the intake track, you can see here, this is my Summit Turbo. I'm going to spin that around. It'll be down here. It's going to go out over here, go into a big U-bend, come back, and then come back into the intercore. So I can make I'm figuring about 10 or 12 feet is probably going to be about enough, because if you measure the length of your exhaust, that's about as much distance as you're going to have from the exhaust manifold all the way back to where guys are putting turbos at. So they're selling GT45s at Walmart. They sell everything there. The GT45 stuff works really good. They make good power, and they're cheap. I can't believe that you can buy a turbo that cheap and have it work that well. But the question is, as we'll see tonight, just how well does it work? Tim says twin eBay GT45s will work nice at 1,300 horsepower on a 6 liter, but they'll be laggy. They will make that much power though. So while I'm out working on the motor, I can take a look up and see what's... Get some of the charge temperature results. Roy, what's up? Yeah, T's in the house. Are you out? Yeah, I'm taking off. All right, man. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, this is our power curves. What? Yeah, I'll take care of all that. Just lock it. Yep. Okay, let's take a look at some of our back pressure stuff. So this is our GT45. Boost. So here we can see, can you guys see? There's our boost pressure versus back pressure curve, and this is what I was talking about, the big drop in boost that there. But as we can see, here's the boost pressure curve, and it's slightly falling down, unfortunately. We could cure that, and I talk about that in the video that we're going to be posting. But here's the back pressure. So it starts out actually lower than boost pressure on the load end, and then as always, the back pressure climbs kind of steadily out to over 12 pounds at 8 pounds of boost, we have 12 pounds of back pressure. So that's about 1.5 to 1. And you can see if we compare this to another combination here, compare that to maybe the T76 turbo in red, lots more back pressure. And that's one of the problems with that 76 millimeter turbo from CX Racing. I think it has a fairly good compressor side, but it's really choked up on the hot side. That's a 0.9 on the CX Racing turbo. And it's just the wheel, I think, is just not big enough. And I talk about that in the video that I'd like to see a hybrid between the two. So this would be interesting. But these are the kind of things I love this kind of data, and that's why I'll show you where we're taking the back pressure reading at. I don't have a whole bunch tonight, but yo, Tim, what's up? So we'll go ahead and show you where the back pressure. See, we're taking the back pressure reading right here from the wide pipe. And I know different there than it is in the manifold, and different than it is right before the turbo. And you know, you got to measure it right here at the flange, and we measured it everywhere, and it was the same. So we measured it at different parts on our wide pipe. We measured it over here. We measured it at this bend. We measured it everywhere, and it's kind of seemed to be the same to us. So I think that the back pressure is seemed like back pressure was fairly consistent in our wide pipe section at the different places where we monitor it. And I like having the back pressure readings because I always like seeing a back pressure versus boost pressure curve. So that tells us a little bit about the response rate. It also tells us about the if it's getting too bad, we start to worry. And if you've run a lot of turbo motors, you can start hearing when it gets unhappy. When the back pressure gets high, the motor just does not sound good. Like when we put this turbo on, this S475 from Summit Racing with the big T6 deal, when we put this turbo on with this big exhaust and the big hot side and stuff, the motor sounded really happy and the curve looks really good. Obviously the back pressure is way down, but the thing just sounds like, hey, now I can breathe, I can exhale, and it's making a lot more power, doing a lot better. Here's the other thing we have. Take a look right here. This is for measuring the charge temperature after the intercooler. We had runs if you guys haven't taken a look, take a look at the video that I put up on intercooling versus non-intercooling on E85. We're really running E85 on everything, but we're measuring the charge temperature, and on that test we measured obviously without the intercooler. So we have about 100-degree difference between intercooled and non-intercooled, and that's at a fairly low boost level too. That difference will go up dramatically as you go up in power and you go up in boost, and it goes up even worse obviously on a turbo if we're getting near the limit of the flow rate of the compressor. Now on this S475 like from Summit Racing, we don't really have to worry about that. That's a pretty good sized turbo. It should work well in this combination. And later on, I might be turning it up. Although I did notice, I don't know how many dyno runs this thing has. I have to see. I'm sure it's got to be. It's over 50. So it's probably more like 70 or 75 now. It's got a lot of hard flogs on it, and I noticed that the oil pressure just doesn't seem to be quite what it was. I mean, I can't expect it. Those are probably the original bearings and stuff in there, so I can't expect too much. We'll see. It should keep going though. It seems to be repeatable, which I like. Maybe just a new pump or something later on, but who knows? It seems to be working good. So I want to thank you guys for showing up and hanging out with me. I always like getting together with you guys. I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek and show you what's going on with the turbo stuff. I've got to get over and start editing that video and I'll show you here. Look, one of my cheat sheets. That's so I know what to say. You don't think that just comes off the top of my head, right? Sometimes I have to when I don't know all the turbos. It gets really confusing when I'm talking about a 7875 Gen 2 and a 7582. I can't know all of that stuff just off the top of my head. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will try to be back tomorrow. I'm going to post this video up on all of the turbo stuff and all the different turbos run on this 4.8 liter. Thanks again, guys. I will see you mañana.